Did not realize there was going to be so much construction. So, if you hear some beeping, it's not because I am backing my ass up. Okay? Happy Thoth Thursday, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the importance of the princesses in Thoth. Okay? You can call them pages. I don't care what you call them. They're the earth elements of their court families. Okay? And I say this a lot in my Thoth videos, but it's really, I want to concentrate on the earth element here, or the sub-element, or whatever you want to call it in tarot. The earth is an amalgamation of the rest of the elements, okay? And what that means to me is that you can find earth, the element, here on this planet, on our planet. But I don't think we know it now, but it definitely in the time of the decks coming out, we didn't know science-wise that we could see Earth, the element, outside of our planet. But you can see air, as in the vacuum of space. You can see water, like the ice on on other planets, the fires of Mars. You know, you can see the other elements outside of our planet, even outside of our solar system. You know, of course. But in terms of Earth, this amalgamation of the rest of the suits, you see it here on our little globe here, sitting in the Milky Way. So it's very much a only to us, only perceived by us, right? Now, also, I guess on a science level, Earth means matter to me. So again, that means things that we can see on our own, in our own realm here, on our own planet. And especially if we're talking dimensions, okay? Earth is here in our dimension. I also want to talk about the importance of Earth because there's so much to the Thoth on the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. And Earth sits all the way down to the bottom of the Tree of Life at Malkuth, okay? And when you look at Malkuth and you see the color of Malkuth, it's not one color, it's 4 colors. And that's because these particular colors, the colors that make up Malkuth, in symbolism alone, okay, in color symbolism, they're the mixture colors. So they're the burgundies and the olives and the whites and the blacks, you know, like they're the mixtures. They're the colors that looks like a whole bunch of stirred fried rice. Okay, and that's what the earth element in tarot means to me, is this conglomeration, this sacred pollution. I think what Numerology describes as sacred pollution. And that's a whole bunch of that's a huge job to put on the princesses, okay? And you know right offhand which sub-element, like these are all the princesses, so they're the earth of whatever the suit they're a part of, okay? So, and you can see that because there is an emphasis on the suit that they reside in, okay? But them being the earth suit of the suit that they reside in, that's already a mixture, and then you add in the element that they reside in, the element that these princesses sit under. Now, back to the Tree of Life, I want to say that the princesses, when you look at the Sifrots, okay, the Sifrots are usually associated with the number cards, okay, going from Keter, which are the aces, all the way down to lightning bolt, all the way down to Malkuth, which are actually the princesses and the tens. Now, if you look at the other court cards, the king and queen, okay, respectively, or the knight and queen in this deck, are right at the top underneath Keter at Hokmah and Banah, right? And then you go down to the middle Sephiroth, well, semi-middle, is the 6th Sephiroth of beauty, which is Tiferet, and that's where the princes sit. So that's right above the princesses. So you'd think that they would, he's still kind of up there with his mom and his dad. But then the princess sits all the way at the bottom, and she's got this partnership with the tens, okay, automatically. So you pull out all the tens in the deck. Now, and they kind of go along with the princesses, right? Kind of like they work in tandem with one another. But when I think of tarot in numbers, and then also the Tree of Life, is that the tens work like Earth. Because in numerology, 10 isn't part of numerology. It's 1 to 9. Okay, maybe 0 to 9, I think. But really, in numerology, you study the numbers 1 through 9, right? You don't study the 10. Now you study 11, right? Like my sacred number, for example, is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think that that's because my birth number is 10. Now we could condense that down and say that, my real birth number would be 1, right? So that would link to the magician. But really, it's a 10. And every time I look at a clock, I don't see 11, right? It's not necessarily like divine numerology that happens for a lot of people. Mine happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm always looking at the clock at 12:34 for some reason. Now, if you add up 1, 2, 3, 4, it makes 10. Cool, huh? So that's something that I always link back to is the number 10, but that it is really the amalgamation of all the rest of the numbers. It's not really a number that has an association with it. So it would make sense that it's way at the bottom, just like the princesses. They're the amalgamations of all the rest of whatever's happening on the tree. And they sit there almost absent of the tree. It's often been said that it's like a pendant on the tree of life, that it sits there like a sacred apple, right? It's something separate than the actual tree. It's something that it bears, like fruit, but it's still kind of separate from the tree itself. So I thought that was really cool. Now, I want to mention another partnership that the princesses have. When we think of the tree of life, there's a huge emphasis with Kabbalah, okay, and the tree of life in astrology, right? So we know that already has a connotation on there. But, so, the princesses sit at Malkuth, and they sit on Malkuth with the tens, right? This whole concept of Malkuth being the amalgamation of all the rest of whatever's happening and the other elements, they're in partnership with the tens. But then looking at the Zodiac and looking at the fact that the princesses hold so much of the Zodiac, all 4 of them, in terms like the rest of the number cards have decans, right? But all 4 of the princesses make up the entirety of the Zodiac, because they fill up quadrants, right? So 1/4, one whole fourth of the Zodiac lies in each page/princess. So that is another partnership we put on the princess, is the aces. So not only are they the tens, they're also the aces. So that's the 1 and the 10. And I thought that is such a job for this these court cards. This seemingly almost forgettable court card are the pages and the princesses. We just think that there's like so much potential with them, like the aces. And then we think about them not really knowing a lot about their suit, but there's such a job that they have, being 1/4 of the entire, astrological system, and being the ending and the beginning in terms of numbers. They're the ending and the beginning. They sit almost like bookends in numerology. Like how cool is that job? But how big is that job? I know when I think of the aces, I think of them being the purest representation of their suits, right? Let's go back to the aces of the aces in tarot. They would be the purest representation of their suits, right? This divine potential. If they remained pure, nothing in matter would never happen, would never get created. You have to have the pages, or the princesses in this case, to do the mixing. That's what their job is to turn on the switch of the cosmic KitchenAid mixer and mix it all up, right? It's almost like embodying the temperance card, It's so much to do with mixing all of the energies that's a huge job for the princesses, in my opinion. And it's taking the potentiality and the pure essence of their aces, and letting that go through all of the stages 1 through 10, and then right afterwards letting it go through all of the numbers, right? And then once it gets to, which respectively the princess, in my opinion, would be right after the 10s. Okay? Or we could look at it upside down, that the knights / kings would be right after the 10s. So it's almost like at the very end of that suit, right? Say for this one, it's water. So that's cups, right? So you start at the ace as pure essence, and then the ace itself, the ace travels, this essence travels through all the rest of the cards until you get all the way through the courts as well, till you get to the princess, and she flips the switch on the cosmic KitchenAid mixer and mixes it all up for us. Think about all that she's seen her parents do, the knight and the queen, and that she kind of sees the prince do. She knows her duty in terms of him as well. And she's turning on the switch to mix it all about, so that it's no longer just a pure form. It's no longer just this one thing. It becomes a mixture. The elements, if we can't see the elements in their pure form. That's not their goal. The goal is for them to mix with other elements, for stuff to be created, like steam, like fog. And I think of the elements in their, like, if we think of the elements in their real forms, in their purest forms, and then think about them mixing with other elements, that's where the making is happening, is in the mixing. And that's their job. But it's not until we get to the princesses that the mixing is actually happening. The element's job is to mix. And the princess is the chef. Now, I was reading the Tabula Mundi website, and it's kind of set up like a blog, so it's kind of easy to go in and kind of see some things in a blog type sense, like written out like a blog. And I was reading this about the princesses, that they are the lowest, right, which we already know it means they're the alpha and the omega. They're the beginning and the end of their suit. They tend to have all the qualities of the rest of their court families. And it goes on to say how. And I just thought that this was really beautiful. I'll leave the link below to go check out Tabula Mundi's website. Force. So all the princesses hold the force of their king, the form of their queen, and the power of their prince. Now, how is that not a cosmic chef mixing it all up? If the princesses are holding all of that, that's a lot of authority. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of job, right? She is unlocking the beginning, right? So we think that it's happening. Like I said, it may be happening cyclically, but really, she, being the end, she also has to unlock the beginning of the mixture of whatever's getting created. So she is unlocking the beginning and allowing this next stage of development to come to pass. She allows the change within all the sub-elements to happen. It's almost like she's material force. That's her job. Title is material force. To say one more thing about the princesses that I didn't realize until I got to this Tabula Mundi website, that said, because they hold so much of the Zodiac, that's an important job all on its own. It would make sense that this is why we see a youthful figure on the world card. Because this figure is the princess. I mean, we already know, here are the 4 fixed Zodiac signs, right? And that's on every card. If you watched my universe card video a couple of Thoth Thursdays ago, you'll know that it's every universe world card is set up the exact same way because of this math that goes into the creation of the universe. And I think that in all world cards, we see this maiden, and especially in this card, we see a maiden. She's the princess, this divine dancer, this universal dancer that is dancing. I happen to call it a chef because I had this picture in my head of her flipping the switch like she's a cosmic chef, like turning on the mixing bowl. But she's a spiral dancer. It's in the nature of her to mix, to twirl, to spin all that needs to get spun. And we see that happening in the pages and in the princesses, respectively, in this deck. But that makes a lot of sense why the figure in the world card would be this youthful presence. Now, really, there's an emphasis in the world card about it being a hermaphrodite, which is okay. It still has a youthful presence, a youthful vibe to the figure, and I think that it's nodding to the princesses being these 1/4 of their astrological placements. That's a whole bunch of stuff happening with the princesses, folks. So to recap it all, the princesses, or the pages respectively, in the Rider-Waite-Smith system hold 1/4 a full quarter of their Daikon. Okay, so all 4 of them make up the entire zodiac. They share a Sephiroth with the tens of tarot. So the rest of the tens, so get on all your tens, and all the tens all the 4 tens that you see make up a partnership with the princesses. But then because of where they are and how much of the zodiac they take over, they also are in tandem, working in tandem with the aces. So they're the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end, allowing the change of matter to begin and to stop it. That's a lot of work. Now, I also wanted to share this little fun tidbit that I saw. I don't have the book out with me, but because we were talking about the earth element itself being this amalgamation of the rest of the elements that are present, the other 3, and this divine pollution, right? How much of a hot mess is this Princess of Disc? She a hot mess. And that's why, in my opinion, Lon-Mile Lutiket put her on the cover of his book. He was like, if I'm going to use any of the cards to put as my cover, it would have to be this hot mess of a damn princess. This earth of earth princess here. Right? Anyway. Okay, like I've said the last couple of videos, I want to continue Thoth Thursday, so please submit me your questions, and I'm going to continue to do my own thing on here, but I would really like, if you guys are wondering about something in the Thoth system, worried about a specific card, maybe something that's confusing to you about the makeup of the system, whatever, I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to questions. So I know that my Gmail has been acting a fucking fool lately, so DM me on Instagram. If you've got a question, leave it below in the comments. DM me on Instagram. Try to email me through my Gmail that I'll leave below, so that I can continue and to answer you guys' questions as we continue these Thoth Thursdays. So, come back in a couple of Thursdays for some more Thoth love. Much love, people.